We're going to manage case file and practice schedule. And I would like to introduce Sydney Thielke, and she'll be presenting the next material for you.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's good coffee cup into the day, and we'll just jump right into Lesson Plan 44, creating a new conservation case file for an existing client. So, as with many of these other lesson plans, we need to be logged into Conservation Desktop, and our preferences are set, and then we have an assigned case file. So, the rationale for creating a new conservation case file for an existing client is that planners may need to create a new case file for a client who already has at least one case file living in NPAD. At the end of this lesson plan, you will be able to create a new conservation case file for an existing NPAD client. To get started, we're going to click the search button up on the Conservation Desktop toolbar, which is our little magnifying glass. And on the Search Case Files Agreements page, enter the assigned client name and click Search. In the case file search results, we're going to click on the case file name hyperlink for our selected case file to go ahead and open it. And we're going to be returned to the main Conservation Desktop screen, and our assigned case file will be open in the table of contents there on the left. If needed, you can click on the client name to expand the client panel. In this case, ours is already expanded, and we're going to click on Create Case. In the Create Case File dialog, we're going to leave the default servicing office, county, and customer root folder, but we're going to enter training followed by our initials and LP44 for Lesson Plan 44 for the company business name. And we're also going to enter our initials and LP44 for the identifier and then click Create. And once this is created, you are returned to the main Conservation Desktop screen, and that new case file is open in the table of contents. So you can see that that case file name has changed there. And that concludes Lesson Plan 44. We've created a new case file for an existing client. Lesson Plan 45 is renaming a case file. So we're logged into Desktop, our preferences are set, we've created a case file in Lesson Plan 44, and our planners may need to rename a case file, and it's available for both conservation and easement case files. At the end of this lesson plan, you will be able to rename a case file. With the case file you created in the previous lesson plan still open, click on the case file name in the table of contents to expand your options, and then select Rename Case. In the Rename Case dialog, change the identifier to your initials followed by Renamed, and then click the Save button. So when that completes, the new case file name is displayed in the table of contents, which ours did, and we have successfully renamed a case file. And that concludes Lesson Plan 45. So we're going to jump down, if you're following along, from here to Lesson Plan 48, which is managing client associations to a case file. Our requirements are that the user needs to be logged into Conservation Desktop and the preferences are set, and that the case file was created in Lesson Plan 44, which we can all confirm just happened. The rationale is a user may need to view or update clients that are associated to a case file. So at the end of this lesson, we will be able to view the client associations to a case file, add a client to a conservation case file, change a decision maker for a case file, and also remove a client from a case file. So to get started, we're going to view client associations for our case file. So if needed, you can search and open for the case file that you created in Lesson Plan 44. Ours is already loaded, so we're just going to move on to step 2, which is selecting the case file name in the table of contents in order to expand the panel. And in the expanded panel, select Manage Client Associations. The Manage Client Associations view is going to open, and the decision maker's client information is displayed there in the viewer. When a case file has associated clients, all the clients are listed in the table, and you can click on another client's name to view their individual information. So we've now viewed our client associations, and now we're going to add a client to a conservation case file. You can do this by clicking the Add Client button in orange, and the client search options open up, and Conservation Desktop automatically populates your state, county, and service center with your defaults from your user preferences. In this case, we're going to check the National Search checkbox and then enter Smith for the last name and Corey with an E for the first name. And then we're going to click Search. So this is expanding that search beyond just our existing preferences out to the national search. So that quickly retrieves our Corey Smith options. It says, if needed, you can scroll down to view our search results, and we're going to add the first client listed in the search by either clicking on the common name hyperlink or by clicking on the Actions icon and selecting Add Client. So we're going to go with the Add Client option. And then go ahead, and the new client is added to the Manage Client Associations dialog. So you can click the Save button, and that'll save our changes. So right here, we've still got Distance Bikes as our decision maker, and Corey Smith is our associated client. So now we have some options where we can change our decision maker. So we're going to step into that. In the client list, select the Decision Maker Radio button for Corey Smith. And in the Change Decision Maker confirmation window, select Yes. Our client list is updated to show the new decision maker. And then we're going to go and change it right back to our assigned client. We're going to go back to Distance Bikes, confirm the changes, and then Corey Smith is back on there just as an associated client. We're going to do that so we can move on to deleting a client association with a case file. So in the client list, select Corey Smith, and then select the actions, our little 3 vertical dots, and select Remove Client. In the Remove Client confirmation window, we're going to select Yes, and the client list is going to be updated to remove the client. At this point, we can close, select Close, and close the Manage Client Associations dialog. So a lot of functionality we're used to in terms of changing our decision makers, working with associated clients, just a little bit of a different workflow that's all right there for us in Desktop. So Lesson Plan 49 is going to be closing a case file. So we're logged into Conservation Desktop, we've got our preferences, and we're still working with this case file that was created in Lesson Plan 44. A planner may need to close the case file they currently have open in Conservation Desktop. An example would be when the client has more than one case file and the planner is closing the case file to select a different one. This is something a lot of people were asking about with the previous release of Conservation Desktop. How do we close? Get ready, folks. Here it comes. At the end of this lesson plan, you will be able to close a case file. So let's get started. In the table of contents, click on the case file name and select Close Case. In the Close Case confirmation window, click Yes to proceed. And Conservation Desktop closes the open case file. The client remains in the table of contents. I'm so happy that I got to do that lesson plan because I was one of those people who was like, how do I close it? So that concludes Lesson Plan 49. So then we are going to move right along into Lesson Plan 51 if you're following along. We're going to skip on Lesson Plan 50. So Lesson Plan 51 is opening an agreement associated to a practice schedule. So we need to be logged in with preferences set, and we need to have our assigned practice schedule open. So we're just going to jump into that. A planner may need to open an agreement. When a practice schedule is open in Conservation Desktop, associated agreements can be opened from the practice schedule menu. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to open an associated agreement from the table of contents when the practice schedule is open. So we've got our practice schedule open there on the left, and in the table of contents, click on the practice schedule name and select Open Agreement. So you're going to select your assigned agreement from the drop-down menu in order to open it. And your selected agreement will be added to the table of contents. And then we'll get the full refresh for the Conservation Desktop viewer. And so we've added an agreement, and that is Lesson Plan 51. So we're going to move down from 51 to Lesson Plan 54, if you're following along. And Lesson Plan 54 is managing schedule clients. So we are logged into Conservation Desktop, our preferences are set, and we have our assigned case file open. The practice schedules are required to have at least one associated client and exactly one decision maker. Any clients associated to the case file can be added as associated clients to a practice schedule. If there is more than one practice schedule client, the planner can change the decision maker or remove associated clients. The decision maker cannot be removed from the practice schedule. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to add a client to a practice schedule, change the decision maker for a practice schedule, and remove a client from a practice schedule. So similar to what we did before at the case file level, now we're doing this at the practice schedule level. So we're going to open the TA plan practice schedule by clicking on the case file name in the table of contents and selecting Open Practice Schedule and selecting the TA plan practice schedule. In the table of contents, we're going to click on the TA plan practice schedule to expand the panel and then select Manage Client Associations. The Manage Client Associations view opens. We're going to select an additional client from the case file clients list and click Add. In the Practice Schedule Clients list, select Operator as the client type for the added client, and then click Save. So you can see we've got a few more options here when we're working with the Practice Schedule clients. So to change the decision maker for a practice schedule, you need to click on the radio button in the Decision Maker column to change the decision maker, and then click on the Save button. So that decision maker has now moved up a level in that list, and then we can also remove a client from a practice schedule. So we can select our original assigned client from the practice schedule clients table and then click Remove, and then select the Save button. And now that we've made some changes to our client associations, we can click on the X to close the Manage Clients dialog. So we can do Practice Schedule Approval, which is Lesson Plan 55. So we've got Conservation we're logged into desktop, our preferences are set, we've got our assigned case file open, and the TA practice schedule is in our table of contents there. The practice schedule approval allows the planner to enter an approval date for the practice schedule, save that information to the database, and make the plan viewable in Conservation Client Gateway. So at the end of this lesson plan, you will be able to do exactly those things, enter and save the practice schedule approval information, and then also make the schedule viewable in Conservation Client Gateway. In the table of contents, click on the TA Plan Practice Schedule and select Practice Schedule Approval. Practice Schedule Approval. In the Practice Schedule Approval dialog, click on the calendar icon for approval date and go ahead and select today's date. And then select your name from the Certified Planner drop-down. And then leave the default selection for work performed by and click the Save button. And go ahead and click Close in the Conservation window to return to the main Conservation desktop screen. And then here we go. This one is just as exciting as the last time. Lesson Plan 56, we're going to close the practice schedule. So we've got our TA plan open, and our rationale is an open practice schedule can be closed from the Conservation Desktop table of contents. And at the end of this lesson, everyone will be able to close an open practice schedule right there from the table of contents. So we're going to click on the TA plan practice schedule, and from the list of options available, click Close Practice Schedule. And the practice schedule is going to close and be removed from the table of contents. The practice schedule tab is removed from the table view, and the map view is refreshed and no longer displays our TA plan. So thank you very